Hello and welcome to Your Favourite Teacher. Today we're going to explore the theme of knowledge and ambition in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Whilst knowledge or ambition could come up separately in the exam, it would be hard to talk about one without the other, considering knowledge is the staple for many of the characters' ambitions in the novel. There are three main characters which would be good to talk about: Frankenstein, Walton, and the monster. If you're thinking along the same lines, good. But remember, as long as you can justify your choices in the exam using quotes from the extract and reference from elsewhere in the novel, you'll be absolutely fine. Let's take a look at Frankenstein first. He's pretty ambitious and thirsty for knowledge. We know early on that he's obsessed with science and nature, wanting to understand electricity and how to use it for the purpose of creation. Shelley is channeling the science Galvani and his nephew here, who experimented on animals and, later on, criminals, using electricity in an attempt to bring them back to life. Frankenstein's lofty ambition has been there since he was a boy, and to some extent we can see it as noble, because Frankenstein originally intends to use his knowledge of the human body to banish disease. However, he can also be seen as selfish, because he says that his new creatures would owe their being to him, which presents the reader with the downside to ambition. Next, Walton's ambition is to discover a new passage through the Arctic, which he says is his favourite dream from childhood. Considering how treacherous this journey was in the 19th century, Walton is being incredibly ambitious. Like Frankenstein, he's doing this to try and benefit mankind, but he does say he preferred glory, hinting that he's also doing it for personal gain. Frankenstein's story, and basically Shelley's reason for writing it in the first place, acts as a warning to Walton and the reader to not be too ambitious if it causes destruction to yourself and others. Now for the monster, bless him. All he wants is to understand language and the society he was thrust into. You know, have conversations without people screaming and fearing for their lives. Is that too much to ask? Apparently so, because the more he learns about language and society, the more damaged he becomes as he realises he doesn't actually fit in. He says, "My days were spent in close attention that I might more speedily master the language." The adverb speedily conveys how desperate the monster was to learn the language, paying close attention so that he made sure he got it right. Despite being quite eloquent in speech, the monster was only seen for his grotesque appearance and not an intellectual who had read many classics. Shelley uses this idea to suggest it may be better for society to live in a natural state rather than being so organised. Here, she echoes the ideas put forward by philosopher Rousseau. For the monster, his ambition for knowledge brings nothing but pain, which drives him to seek revenge. Which brings me nicely onto my next point. Frankenstein's ambition causes a lot of things to go wrong in the novel. Upon the creation of the monster, then choosing to abandon it, Frankenstein becomes quite ill and has to be nursed back to health by Clerval. Alongside this, he also has to live with the guilt of William, Justine and Elizabeth all dying at the hands of his creation. The monster's ambition to learn the language and be accepted backfires because he's still seen as evil, causing him to kill Frankenstein's friends and family in the first place. Shelley warns her readers of the dangers of being too ambitious through three different characters who, although ultimately trying to accomplish good things, all end up alone, guilt-ridden or dead. In fact, the only character I've spoken about today still alive at the end of the novel is Walton, so hopefully he realised he needed to tone down his ambitions too. I hope you found the information in this video useful. Make sure you check out the other topics in this series and don't forget the Grade Booster section, which has more detailed analysis of character and theme if you want to stretch and challenge yourself. I'm Miss Shaw, thanks for watching.